So I talked about pain demands to be felt when I was camping like a month ago or so, and it was a really intense and emotional time, and also it was like weird because there were like people kind of like around, and I was like outside, and it was just weird, and I had a really weird time, and I was like by myself for a long time, and it was a good thing, but it was also just a weird thing. Did a lot of reflecting, but that conversation was just so odd. I did not go back and listen to it or watch it before this one. I obviously there's going to be some overlap with the topic. However, I wanted to focus in on music stuff because recently, the past couple weeks especially, I've been like hit really hard by some music, and specifically one album to point out is "Bad Actress" by Damn Atlas. So I did a review on that album, but like I got like I don't know what inspired me to look up the one song or to listen to the one song. I was thinking, I don't know, it just kind of hit me. I hadn't listened to it for like probably a year or two, if not more. Any of the songs I probably just not listened to for like a year or something, and yeah, I started listening to it, and then I started listening to the whole album, and just kind of went off the rails with that. And then I decided, you know what, I should do this album review because I'm listening to it anyway. It's an amazing album, and I wanted to do an album review when it first came out, like 3 years ago, and I never did. And yeah, but because of that, I mean, like, first of all, I was just in a place where I thought it was an okay idea, I guess, or that it wouldn't be that bad to just like listen to that and indulge in those feelings. So going to be some overlap here. We're sitting in sadness too, but um, yeah, to like indulge in those feelings and listen to that music. And then once I got to the review portion, I was like, hey, now I have to listen to more of it and really dig deep into it, and that was a whole other thing, right? Um, but the reason that I'm relating this to music is because there are a couple albums that I have reviewed in the past, that being one of them, where I have almost prefaced it or wrapped it up or just talked throughout about how good the album is, but how I can't really listen to it because of this notion of pain demands to be felt, and how this album is so good and so strong, passionate, and like heavy. It expresses itself so well that it also demands to be felt. But it demands to be felt in a way that I just can't ignore, which is like pain. Um, this thing that just like it just certain types of pain hit me in a certain way that I can't ignore them. I can't really do much other than feel it, or get away from whatever's maybe causing it, and hopefully enough of a pause gives me some respite so that I don't feel it anymore, or at least not for a while, or I don't have that certain stimulation anymore. So anyway, uh, yep, I don't remember what I was talking about or why. That's not true. Just drawing back to like yeah, pain demands to be felt. And like I've talked before, I think I had like a little conversation once. I'm like, man, I can't listen to emo music anymore, and this is why. And so I mean, like this kind of is broader than that because after the Dem Atlas thing, like I indulged a little bit in like some Taking Back Sunday, and I was like, oh no, and I was thinking like, there's a reason why I don't do this. Like some of these albums are so good, they're so solid, they're like amazing to listen to, but they just make me feel a way I don't want to feel, and I cannot separate that from the rest of the music. Like lyrically, I mean I can't separate what's being sung about from like the quality. I mean, if you just talk about the voice as an instrument, I mean like it can be beautiful without it portraying beautiful words or whatever, or it's like you know. So I mean, it could be just like an instrument where like if someone just took the instrumental, you know, it would be like wow, it's a really great like melody or beat or whatever. It's a great song. The instrumentation is fantastic, and it makes me feel something. But the lyrics on top of that just add this extra layer. And I was speaking to somebody the other day about how I'm like, I don't really cry. I don't think I've ever cried during a movie. I haven't cried during a book. I have felt sad, very sad during those things, but I've definitely cried to music. Um, it's still rare, but it's happened. Like, and sometimes it's just like, I mean, there's certain songs that do it for me almost every time, and there's some that I know will get me close. There's certain albums that'll get me close, and I'm like, oh, like, don't do this to yourself, right? Because that's the thing is like, so with that notion of pain demands to be felt, for me, like, music demands to be felt, but it has to be of a certain quality. I mean, that's the same thing as like, man, if I like get a paper cut or stub my toe lightly or something, like, that doesn't necessarily um, demand a certain response, you know? And be like, oh, that sucks. Like, and that's it, right? But, if I accidentally cut my arm off, I'm probably going to feel that a lot more extremely and a lot longer, too. And I guess that's the way I would equate physical pain to just, like, music and how it demands to be felt. For me, it's a certain medium that, like, I don't know, some people, like poems can make me sad, books can make me sad, whatever. Like, looking at a painting can excite me, it can arouse me. Sometimes it can make me feel sad or anger or whatever, but definitely not to the extreme that music can make me feel those things. Um, and that's another big part of this, is that I think that for the most part, I could watch a movie, I could be in whatever mood and just watch whatever movie, and I can come out of it after with like a little bit of residual feeling, but I can move on pretty quick. Whereas with music, I can't. So it's dangerous for me to get like stuck in a hole of like listening to sad songs. Like, I try to avoid that as much as possible, because it will affect me. It will change the mood I'm currently in, which has this power to it of like, if I'm in a bad place, maybe I should listen to something happy or like upbeat or that'll give me positive feelings. That's really difficult to do when I'm in a bad place. But if I did that, it probably would help. Whereas, like, it's a lot easier for some reason that if I'm in a good place and for some reason something slips in there that's like all the sads, um, musically, then it will bring me down to that place like really easily. It's just, it doesn't take much for it to affect me in a certain way that is just very strong. Um, yeah, which is maybe another reason why I not only love music so much, but have such a vast. No, that's not a reason. It's a bonus. I mean, just, I have like an eclectic taste in almost any media that I consume, whether it be in books or movies or music. Um, but having so many different things to choose from musically really helps me because then I've got different flavors for different moods, or if I want to be feeling a certain way, or don't want to be feeling a certain way, or whatever it is. But even though I have that amount of choice and that immense amount of choice, there's just some things that are way stronger than others, and things that are familiar, and things that I'm going to go back to. And it's this interesting thing where some people um, maybe like purge a lot of emotions and feelings at once, and that helps them, and they're just like, oh, I really needed a good cry today, and then they're good for like a month. And again, I don't sit in sadness very well, and I, other than feeling scared that it's going to last forever because I just don't like the feeling of it and it makes me really anxious, it also isn't something that it never seems to be just like, I know it doesn't last forever, but like, it never seems to be something that just happens in like a concentrated amount for a short time and then I'm good for a while. It feels like the threat of it is there a lot, especially recently. Like, it's like the past like year and a half or so. It's like the threat of it being near is just so like prevalent that it, yeah, it just keeps me on my toes with anxiety a lot. But that's, yeah. Anyway, that's just the thing too. Like, if someone just like could indulge in like, it's weird. That's a weird phrase. I keep using like indulging in that album or whatever, because it's not healthy. I guess that's why I call it indulging in it. Like, it's not a positive feeling, but there's like this weird little bit of like nostalgia mixed with like, this is really good music and I want to like sing to it and it's like beautiful, but it's all of those things in a way that also makes me incredibly sad. So yeah, it's unhealthy. I mean, like equate it to like like people say overindulging in like food, right? And that it can give you certain experiences within moderation. But for me, with certain songs or yeah, with certain songs or albums or whatever, there's no moderation. One is bad enough. Like it can just, and then it's a landslide. It's just a landslide to like the whole album or like a whole bunch of different albums or like a whole whatever. Yeah, it's not like what, like I said, one in and of itself is bad enough, but it's also because it just doesn't stop at one. And here's the thing. So to kind of wrap this up, I guess I had this realization yesterday, and I don't think I got many new realizations here, but I still wanted to talk about this. Was that like one of the things that so speaking about food, right? Like if whatever, let's just say junk food, bad food, food that is not good for you in any moderation for the most part, if that's in the house, if I bought it and it's there, I will eat it. And I don't mean in like 2 months from now. I'll probably eat it within the next couple of days because I bought it to eat. There are some people that I know that can have just like snacks just like hanging out in the cupboard for months. And like, oh yeah, I'll just like, oh, we're gonna watch a movie, so I'll just bring out some snacks. And I'm like, but I can't do that. Like I buy it for the purpose of eating it, but that's how I buy all my food. Like I'm buying groceries for the week. I've meal planned. I know what I'm eating. I bought it for the week. It's not going to go bad. Like whatever. I don't just have like random stuff just hanging around. Other than condiments, it's like, oh, I have ketchup for when I need ketchup. It lasts a long time and whatever. I'm not just sitting there squirting like ketchup bottle into my mouth or something. But I mean, like that's the thing. If someone were to bring, like, if I was living with somebody and I mean, like with a partner or whatever, where like the food is ours, and it's like they have that pattern of just like buying snacks and like keeping them, like they have enough restraint, right, that they can like just eat them in moderation. I'm like, yeah, but it's in the house and I want it, like on a daily basis. I want it. So that example doesn't like extend to like feeling sad because I don't want sad, but it's like once I get a taste of sad through music, for some reason it's easy to just like feel that, maybe because there's just a really strong feeling and I'm just addicted to that feeling, which flies in the face of that whole conversation I had about being addicted to safety. But yeah, the thing is that like the way that I restrain myself is by knowing myself of like just not even touching it. Do not bring the food into the house, and therefore I won't eat it, and I most likely will not be going out of my way to get it. I usually doesn't go that far. Like sometimes it's like convenient. Oh, I'm at the gas station. I need to get gas, and like I kind of want a snack. Like sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But like if it's here and I'm like craving something, I'm usually not gonna leave the house and go out of my way just to do that thing. Same thing with the music thing. Like it's easy just to like go to that artist and whatever, but it's not even a desire. Like it's not even a desire to do it until it is, until like something sparks that thing, and then it's easy to stay in that cycle. Um, and I don't know what that is. That's a whole other thing. Like, do I have an addiction to just feeling strong feelings? I talked once about big feelings and like would I sacrifice my big feelings for like more stability? And I said no at the time because I thought at that time a couple months ago, whenever I did that, I think it was a couple months ago, I thought that like I was stable enough that I still wanted my big feelings because the highs were high, even though the lows were low. I can control the lows, and like I still can control the lows, but they've gotten more like since that video. There's been some pretty low lows, but anyway, um, yeah. So pain demands to be felt, and sometimes I feel that through music, but it doesn't like that's the thing. It doesn't like naturally run its course. Like I usually have to like make a point of like stopping that and being like, hey, let's listen to something else right now because we're done with this place. But it's like a conscious effort. Um, yeah, that almost sounded like a story time more than a conversation because I don't, like I said, I don't think I got anything really new out of that other than just communicating like, yeah, that's some real shit. And like different people have different things that affect them to that degree, but music is one for me. It has been since I was in probably before my teens, before I knew what these feelings were. Like music made me feel some really deep feelings that I didn't even understand at the time. um, I mean, I'm gonna throw an example at you just because that's maybe like a weird concept, but like So I had some Michael Jackson tapes when I was really young, and off the album Dangerous, there is a song called, I'm blanking on the title. Give In to Me. Actually has Slash from Guns N' Roses playing guitar on there. I mean, and you know, Michael Jackson's had a bunch of different featured artists, whether they're guitar players or vocalists, whatever on his stuff. Anyway, Give In to Me was a song on that album that, like, I mean, there are other songs on that album that like made me feel things as like a kid, but like that's a song where I'm like I couldn't even comprehend what I was feeling, but it made me feel something. Like just the way that, again, the lyrics, the music, and just the quality and style of singing and everything that came with it, like the solos on it too. Like Slash's guitar playing was incredibly emotional, and like it made me feel this feeling that like I didn't understand until like 10 years later or something. Like I just like remember that. So I don't know. Music's always had a really strong effect on me, even when I didn't relate to it. Like at that time, I could not relate to that feeling I was feeling, but I felt that feeling, which is just a whole weird thing. Anyway, with that, see you another time.